In October 2019, the King County Library System asked its patrons what the library means to them for KCLS ReelFest, its first ever short film festival. Contestants of all ages submitted entries for the chance to win prizes and share their library stories at a public premiere and award show in March of 2020. But when the COVID-19 pandemic struck, KCLS had to postpone the event. Now they're bringing you KCLS ReelFest online.
Hello, and welcome to the virtual KCLS ReelFest film premiere and award show. I'm Lisa Rosenblum, KCLS Executive Director, and I'm standing outside the Renton Library, the only public library in the country, on a bridge. It's a bright sunny day. There are no red carpets, no crowds of people waiting in line, and no theater screens. Not exactly what you'd expect for a film festival, but we still have a fantastic show for you. Unexpected is a great representation for what this year has been like. We were all set to bring our communities together to showcase the finalist films and announce the winners at a big award show. But we, along with the entire world, were forced to take a step back and stay home to help flatten the curve. During those initial months, KCLS focused on ways we could continue to serve the public. We expanded online resources, increased ebook and audiobook collections, and redesigned our website to make KCLS digital offerings more accessible. And our librarians quickly created new online programming for all ages to help keep residents entertained, engaged, and connected, such as author events, technology certification classes, and story times. Many patrons and small businesses have been severely impacted by the pandemic. We also developed new services to help meet those needs, such as one-on-one job-seeking assistance, financial assistance programs, and for students, new online resources to help with studying from home. And starting in July, we were very excited to get books and materials back into patrons' hands with our curbside to-go, contact-free pickup service, now available at most of our libraries. And here we are today to bring you KCLS ReelFest online. We'll premiere the top 10 films, hear from our judges and finalists, and see who wins. We're so grateful to all of you who submitted your films. We've had an overwhelming response and so many wonderful entries. We wish we could show you every single one. A big thanks to the King County Library System Foundation for sponsoring KCLS ReelFest. And thanks to our renowned ReelFest judges for lending your expertise and being part of the show. But most of all, thanks to our finalists who were here today to celebrate. I was so amazed by the submissions, the creativity, the energy that went into all of the films that you're about to see. So now, sit back, get a big bowl of popcorn, and enjoy the films.
KCLS assembled an expert panel of judges to review and score the top 10 films. Let's meet them now. Laura Jean Cronin is an award-winning filmmaker, an accomplished artist and educator. She's a writer, director, and producer at Pound Pictures and is a lead producer at Real Girls Pro, which helps girls and young women succeed as leaders through media production. She was also a producer on the award-winning PBS show Biz Kids for 6 seasons. Warren Etheridge is a story finder, successful producer, published author, staged playwright, veteran film programmer, and much sought-after public speaker. He's one of the founding faculties of the Film School in Seattle and has hosted multiple television series, including The High Bar, his Emmy-nominated show devoted to, quote, raising the bar. Paula Lamas is an award-winning news anchor at Noticias Univision, Seattle, host and producer of the Como News movie segment Popcorn Time with Paula, and director of the bilingual podcast Power Moment. She has also served as a juror for the Seattle Latino Film Festival. And Dr. Richard J. Meyer. Richard Meyer spent most of his career overseeing public television stations and teaching film. He also wrote 3 books about Chinese silent film stars, has produced and directed several films, and serves as a SIF board member. KCLS asked the panel to judge the films based on creativity, impact, originality, and relevance. And they reached out to the judges and the finalists during the pandemic to talk about the films. First up, the youth category. Janet Chang, from the Newport Way Library with My Library Story.
Ever since I was growing up, I always loved reading and writing, and I would often meet with my friends at libraries, and I wanted to express that love and share that love for libraries with other people. As I was creating my film, I realized that libraries meant so much more to me than I had imagined, and there was a lot of different aspects of libraries that were intertwined with my personal life, and I also found out that I do like animating.
I think My Library Story does a great job of addressing the actual qualities that a library offers. So kudos to that filmmaker. And it has a little bit of whim to it as well in the animation style.
My Library Story, it's beautiful, it's interesting because can tell the story very personal and make questions and make you think about it. It's amazing how the library can awake so many feelings, beautiful feelings inside of a young people.
My Library Story reminded me of when I was a teenager and I used to escape to the library. And the one place that I found solace was the library. The animation was quite superb and they used it in a very, very productive way.
My Library Story was one that I was first really taken with the animation. I loved it. It was so creative. I liked watching, the book morph into so many different things, and it sort of really showed a general idea about what the library meant to that filmmaker.
Matthew Perry and Andrew Schmidt from the Newport Way Library with The Chronicles of KCLS.
What does the library mean to us? Once upon a time, my friend Jonathan recommended the book Fahrenheit 451 to me. I was excited as this was the first time I ever went to the library. I checked out the book at my local King County library system. Fahrenheit 451 displayed to me the power of reading and the role that libraries play in distributing knowledge to society. The characters and stories from books can communicate lessons that are valuable in the world around us. Throughout reading Fahrenheit 451, I learned about education and censorship. Through these topics, I came to the realization that knowledge is power. After reading Fahrenheit 451, I was eager to go back to the library and check out even more books. In the Chronicles of Narnia, I battled the White Witch and brought peace back to Narnia, understanding the meaning of a true hero. Throughout the Harry Potter series, I found adventure and excitement in new and unexpected places. The Percy Jackson series was filled with many surprises and unlikely heroes. I really enjoyed how the author included many humorous descriptions of the characters. Furthermore, I learned that with hard work and passion, I can accomplish anything. In Alice's Adventure in Wonderland, I drank tea with the Mad Hatter and learned that it is okay to be a little different. After reading many books from the library, I realized that the library fuels creativity and provides knowledge to the community. For these benefits, I am grateful for the library and the books that it provides. Thank you, King County Library System.
It's the first, I guess, film with a story we've made, but we've done a bunch of, video editing and stuff together. We like the part that we could, basically tell a story with a bunch of our favorite books.
We gotta use some books.
Thank you, KCLS, for choosing our video as one of the nominations, and we look forward to seeing other people's films.
Yeah, thank you.
Chronicle of KCLS is one of the most fun pieces that I have been seeing, and definitely reminds me that Chronicle of Narnia, and put together the step-by-step that you have to do in order to enjoy a book in the library. I believe that was one of the most wonderful things. Combine those two things are impressive, and for sure the humor was impeccable and was super key also in this piece.
The Chronicles of the King County Library System really is a winner because it showed the accessibility of the library, and books are so easy to borrow. So it was kind of like, hey, this is not complicated.
One, the production values were fantastic. I mean, he clearly put a lot of work into this project. And for me, it was really heartfelt that there was a little scenario for every book, that touched his life. So filmmakers, attention to detail and ability to make this story so personal is what really got me.
Chronicles of KCLS does a really nice thing in that it comes up with a visual form for showing us what books' power is to transport us.
Safer Azam of the Lake Hills Library with Diary of a Wimpy Kid doodles.
The day I discovered the Diary of a Wimpy Kid, I was hooked. I found out the book was a part of a series. I wanted to read them all, so I begged my mom to take me to the library. I pulled the last straw. Lucky me, got the last one on the shelf. It's gonna be a good day. Next time, it was a hard luck for me. It took driving to 3 different libraries to get the book. You can be lucky so many times, but eventually I had to face the ugly truth. Most of the books are on hold, 53 holds on 10 copies. It's gonna be a long haul until the next book arrives. It really taught me to be patient, to start thinking. These books inspired me to start doodling. And then the long-awaited summer break. Some trips to the library are just better on wheels and with friends. After reading some of the books, I felt like I gained the experience in certain things, even though I never really experienced any of it, such as what it's like to have a dog, or the time our family went on the getaway. I was chill and prepared for everything that the arduous journey across the world would bring me. And then the meltdown. So far from home, I was forced to practice my foreign language reading skills because I forgot to bring my favorite books. That won't happen again. Some may think that libraries are old school, but no screen can compare to the feeling of holding a book. No audiobook can give you that visual experience. And when you pick up that one book and you get totally immersed in it, you forget the whole world. The book becomes your world, and that world was brought to me by the library.
The thing that inspired me to create a submission for the KCLS Real Fest was my favorite book series, Diary of a Wimpy Kid. Most of the books I read from that series I got from the library. Also, the cartoony drawings in Diary of a Wimpy Kid inspired me to do my film. The way the author Jeff Kinney expressed the characters and told the story, I wanted to do the same.
Diary of a Wimpy Kid doodles had very good movement. The message was extremely strong because it says you can create a world in a book.
This one was so cute. I loved his voiceover and, choosing to make the animation look like very much like the story that he, the content of the story, like to make it match, the very book that he was pining after.
There's a simplicity to Diary of a Wimpy Kid doodles that really serves its purpose. I always say that the more personal you are in your storytelling, the more universal it becomes. And I think that that filmmaker accomplishes that.
It's one of my favorite ones because I was enjoying every single step of that trip with these characters, the draw, the story. I feel that I was part of that story too. And I believe that many kids and people will identify it, and I definitely love it.
Aidan Springer of the Newport Way Library with Treehouse.
I want to thank you guys again for just, giving me this opportunity. It's really motivating for me to, even if I wasn't a violinist, I was very proud of myself to make this film and, finish it. But it's just so much more that, other people think it's as good as I did too,
I thought the Treehouse made a really strong case for the usefulness of the library system. It was also really heartwarming to see, Dad bringing his kid to the library. So that sort of family connection right off the bat made an impact.
Treehouse is a short that I think is very successful in its own right because it's actually a complete narrative film. I love that. It has a full arc to it. So I really admired the fact that here is a young filmmaker who understands that there's a complete vision for a piece. I thought that was very wise. I liked it, and it pays off.
When I'm looking to the Treehouse film, I was impressed and glad impressed. I was super happy to see how the library can help to grow that relationship between a father and a young kid, how they grow the relationship and create this bond with the library. It was beautiful and sweet.
My specialty has always been silent film. In terms of silent film making, they mastered the idea of using the various parts of the library for their own purposes. The music was also superb, and the way they used it as a background.
Carmina Cruz of the Covington Library with Libraries Don't Just Equal Books.
Libraries equal books. That's it. And since I hated reading, there was no point going to one. Like many children, I was forced to get a library card anyway. The thing is, that card became deactivated after years of neglect, especially since I got all this sweet technology. Up until 4 months ago, I guess I went to the library, but only for working on stressful, irksome school group projects. As a friend and I passed through the books and aisles during one of the projects, something caught my attention, and there I saw it. Manga. What? They have manga here? Whatever, I can just read it on my sweet... Honey, no. I found myself with no Wi-Fi nor phone due to reasons I cannot explain. Because of this, my parents randomly drove me to the library with a new card and said to get a few books to keep me busy. Just a quick in and out. That's all the library is for. No need to look around. But wow, they sure did have a lot of books. Oh yeah, manga. Those are technically books. I started reading and reading, gradually increasing the genres I collected. I got to come back every few days for that month. And, well, over time, I remembered something I had forgotten. Every day. Every week. How did I miss all this time? For the past 10 years, I let it slip away from me. The library isn't just books. It's a place for books and people, and together they help generations learn, stay creative, and provide for the community. Thank you. When I watch my film, what I really like about it is how personal it feels to me, since every scene is literally pulled from one of my experiences with KCLS last year.
I really enjoyed Libraries Don't Just Equal Books. It's another animated piece, and I have to admit, I'm just a sucker for animation. Sometimes you find your way into literature, you find your way into the library in different forms, and then you're exposed to so much more.
Libraries Don't Just Equal Books. It's fantastic because show you something that is very actual. Is like the interaction that you can have with the technology is not the same that you can have with a book. It's simple, it's elegant, and sometimes you don't need too much things to tell something.
And it's about discovery. And to me, discovery is what the library is all about.
What struck me about this story was the honesty of this filmmaker. Like, in the beginning, I didn't really care for libraries that much. It was like, I take it or leave it. There was a very clear transformation in this person's story. And I did like their use of animation and voiceover. It felt very personal.
Next up, the adult category. Whitney King from the Renton Highlands Library with First Stop the Library.
One called Table by Table. It's gonna get a little wacky. You should go get a container.
Today we came to the library for an outing as we spend quality time together. Plus, it provides us with a book to indulge in during our story times at home.
Turn my mic up! What the library means to me is doing different things, volunteering, running workshops. Makes me feel confident and powerful.
Bless you. I told you that one day you would change the world. The end.
The library gets my kids ready for the real world. It's helping me raise well-rounded children. Me and my girls, we spend a lot of time at the library, and we wanted to show a piece of our world. We love the library. I think I might love it more than my girls right now, but I think one day they'll get as excited as I am to be in the space of the library. Thank you for choosing us to be finalists.
I really thought this was a really cute sort of family trip to the library, learning aspect more than just getting books, but just being a place of discovery. It was a really powerful story.
First Stop, the Library is something that feels like a very personal short. It really feels like it invites me into an individual life and the world around that life. Not just how that person appreciates it, but also how the library has this rippling effect throughout a community. So I thought that short did a great job of grounding us in reality.
First Stop, the Library to me looks like a postmodern video with a message for sure, very personal, and probably it could be something simple, but it could be something more.
The imagery of the children not only loving the library itself, but books. So there was a double message there, I thought.
Amy Bronson Doherty from the Federal Way Library with KCLS on the Road.
KCLS has always helped me feel connected to my community. I never expected it would help me reconnect with myself. In September 2019, I lost my job. It was unexpected and crushing. I was already struggling with other midlife changes. I hadn't just lost my job, I'd lost my way. Taking a cue from stories on these shelves, I decided to go on a quest. For me, this meant a 7,200-mile solo road trip across the U.S., and KCLS was going with me. I checked out travel guides to plan my route, and self-help books to plan my future. On the road, I used Libby and Overdrive to listen to stories about others searching for their place and purpose. At night, I used Canopy to watch movies about misfits and dreamers. Along the way, I took amazing photos with my phone, made better by a Linda E course on mobile photography, free with my KCLS account. 35 days and 21 states later, I realized my midlife losses were creating space for new opportunities. This trip was a new beginning, and I'm grateful to KCLS for helping me get here. Resources for life in all stages and circumstances. That's what KCLS means to me. I love KCLS, I love talking libraries, and I'm very interested in filmmaking. When I came around to the film production, I just tried to stay focused on this is a very simple, very universal story. I hope that it's something that resonates with everyone.
I actually saw somebody whose life was in crisis, and they found a way to use books and the library to bring themselves to another place, to another endpoint. And I thought that was sort of stunning. I didn't expect it. And like any good story, it should turn out differently than you anticipated. One of the things that really impressed me about KCLS on the Road is that it's a very vast story told in a very simple style. There are a lot of big ideas to be conveyed in very little time with very little resources. And so I thought the filmmaker really outdid herself with coming up with ways to show all those gradations of her own evolution. I really thought it was smart.
The library is not just books. The library is experiences. It's a companion. It's feel that you are not alone. You find a whole different world. So discover your country in a road trip, and also be companion, all this step by step by the library. It was perfect.
What came out of this is just that there were new opportunities that were possible because of the King County Library System, because of its resources. The other thing that I found very convincing was the connection between the library and self-discovery. That to me was probably one of the most important things of any of these films, the connection between the library and self-discovery.
Another story about, a really personal issue, and that a person is willing to open up. I liked the extent and depth that this filmmaker showed the King County Library System had in her life and getting through the crisis that she had, and it was really done in an effective way.
Alicia Wingreen from the Auburn Library with Blue-Gray Kaleidoscope Play.
Going to the library, going to the library.
I can't pinpoint the moment my postpartum depression started. I can only remember how it turned my life upside down. Every day was a challenge for me. I had a beautiful baby boy to care for, and I knew I had to overcome postpartum depression before it overcame me. Going to the library's Kaleidoscope Play and Learn as a family was a tradition we started as part of my recovery process. It was important for me to have Adam in an environment where I knew he would learn and reach his full potential. It's been 11 months now, and we continue our weekly visits to the Kaleidoscope Play and Learn and love checking out books to help us be better versions of ourselves.
Open, shut them, open, shut them. Lay them in your lap, lap, lap. Open, shut them, open, shut them. Give a little clap, clap, clap.
I was inspired to create my submission to the KCLS Real Fest by my personal experience with postpartum depression. It was very important for me to create this video because I would like to help other people become more aware of postpartum depression. Thank you all so much for this awesome experience, being able to participate in the KCLS Real Fest, and I hope you enjoyed my film.
Blue-Gray Kaleidoscope Play, it's a very touching story. It's actual, it's truth. I believe it was something important to show, and for sure find out tools and support on the library. It's a beautiful thing.
The Blue-Gray Kaleidoscope Play had a serious message about the positive effect of going to the library. So I thought that was, number one, in a sense, very brave of the filmmaker and the library for doing this. Oh, I thought the approach was good, using animation as well.
I like that it was a real issue, and through the library system, they found a real solution to help alleviate that. So there's that universality and a really strong message that a program can save lives. The use of the, I don't know if they used a filter on live footage or however they got that animated look, it seemed really appropriate for the content. Like, it was sort of live action, but there was this sort of unreal part to it too. It just felt like the right way to tell that story.
I have been teaching storytelling for 30 years, and the biggest note I have for anyone is that it has nothing to do with grammar or spelling or punctuation or form or craft. It has everything to do with your willingness to dive into yourself and be personal and to be emotional and to be vulnerable and to be honest. I always say that distorting the truth is easy. Telling it straight is hard unless you practice it every day. And in my mind, this filmmaker has clearly been practicing it because their sincerity comes through in every frame.
Arthur Klepchikov from the Shoreline Library with Isles of Ideas.
So what inspired me to create my submission to ReelFest and to make Isles of Ideas is actually my experience of writing and submitting short stories for publication and being lucky enough to get into the Best American Mystery Stories 2019 last year. It came with this wonderful, wonderful sense of somebody somewhere in the country could walk into a bookstore or a library and pick up and read a few of my words. And I love the sense that that could inspire people's own stories. And I hope that it does. What I really liked about the film was actually shooting in the Shoreline Library. That was just such a delightful location. It's got so much color and personality, rhythm and balance, and how things are aligned and, you know, how you weave through the stacks.
I thought that the filmmaker's approach to Isles of Ideas is again using the library itself, and it was playful.
I thought the production values were really nice. It was well shot as far as putting a story together. It was well edited and a really nice piece.
Isle of Ideas is another short that does the work of storytelling. It really has a complete vision of what it wants to accomplish in a very short span of time. I think it's a very simple story, but it plays out very neatly. And it's the birth of an artist. It's the birth of a writer. And I love that concept.
Isles of Ideas, it was a clear and elegant piece. It shows for sure persistence, which is important in life, to reach your goal, to reach whatever you want to get or be in life. It's a beautiful message.
Alexander Sway from the Bellevue Library with Ozzie in Space.
Someone once told me my cat's ears move like satellites. When I'm writing, my imagination runs wild. Ozzy gives me some ideas, but he takes too many naps. I don't have everything I need at home, so I go to the library. The whole experience is like going on an adventure. Sometimes I don't even know what I'm looking for. I like to get lost and find something surprising. Maybe one day I can write something that surprises someone in the library too. The library is a wealth of resources for anyone who wants their ideas to take off.
One thing I really hope for with these videos and with this challenge in general is that it can inspire someone to use the resources in the library system and then one day give back to their community through this accessible knowledge or skills that they acquire through the library system. What inspired me to make this was because, I use the library as a resource all the time, and I really wanted to inspire other people to utilize that resource. I wanted to make this film to maybe inspire people to go and discover and be curious. I really have to thank the King County Library System with all my heart for providing such an amazing resource and an amazing space for learning and discovery. And the fact that it's so accessible to everyone is very valuable. I really appreciate it. So thank you all.
I loved Ozzy in Space. I thought that was so cute. I thought the voiceover was really well written, and I really like how Ozzy is introduced in the opening. And you're like, why? What is it about this cat? And it, and the cat becomes very relevant in the end. Like, it all comes back together. I thought that was great. I thought the editing was great, and the production values were really nice.
I love cats, so how can I not love Oz in Space? It's just a charming story. I really enjoyed how that played out. Again, it's a similar journey of the awakening of an author, but this one has cats.
Ozzy in Space, it's a beautiful story. It looks almost professional 100%. I was super impressed how clean and how impeccable was this presentation. It was simple but magic.
It was beautifully shot and very well acted. And I also thought that it was engaging, very engaging, and in a way it was inspirational because the acting was so good. That was one of my favorites.
And now it's time to announce the winners of KCLS ReelFest. In the youth category, third place, Matthew Perry and Andrew Schmidt from the Newport Way Library with The Chronicles of KCLS. Second place, Aidan Springer, Newport Way Library with Treehouse. And the first place winner in the youth category is Safer Azam of the Lake Hills Library with Diary of a Wimpy Kid Doodles.
I'm thankful for the library and everyone involved in making this competition possible. I'm also appreciating the library for providing the online resources during the pandemic. Thanks to my mom for helping me throughout the way and encouraging me.
And now the winners in the adult category. Third place, Arthur Klepchikov of the Shoreline Library with Isles of Ideas. Second place goes to Alexander Sway of the Bellevue Library with Ozzy in Space. And the first place winner in the adult category is Amy Bronson Doherty from the Federal Way Library with KCLS On the Road.
So ReelFest and the road trip that it's about really ended up being this big 1-2 punch for me. I mean, I traveled all the way across the US and back, and then I made a film about it. Just those two things were a big lift to my spirits, but then being a finalist was just icing on the cake and a huge encouragement for me that it was not too late to continue to pursue my dreams.
Congratulations to all the ReelFest winners and finalists, and thank you to everyone who submitted a film. Thank you for joining us for the 2020 ReelFest premiere and award show. Feel free to share the films with your friends, family, and neighbors. And be sure to check out books and materials, attend virtual programs, and much more by visiting kcls.org.